in the bottom left, spawning as the blue Zerg player playing for Team Clash. It's going to be the Italian stallion himself. This is, of course, Reynor.
And his opponent in the top right, playing for Good Game Gaming, it is the Red Terran player Dream.
Alright, Good Game Gaming. It is such a great name, I love that. Nice little logo as well near the command center, look at that.
Yeah.
But what is that 2 TOS units and then a Terran unit? You love to see it. These guys, they know what they want. Stalker, I think it's a probe, and then we have a cute little marine there on the final part of the G. Now, if we're thinking of Dream, Dream has looked very, very strong lately. I think he got a top 4 in the Super Tournament. Did he 3-0 DRG there, then 3-2'd SOS, if I'm not mistaken, and then he lost a trap in the semis there, who ended up winning that tournament, of course. So honestly, Dream, I think right now is the best he's ever been, and he looked fantastic in the open bracket as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dream had he had a time where he was extremely strong back in the Pro League days, but ever since then, right now is definitely the best, I would say, ever since he's back from the... He was in the army as well, right? So
yeah. He's one of those guys that went to the army really young. He was like, my hands will still be fast. I won't need to use my brain for that. Dream, by the way, who likes both the TVZ matchup and the TVT matchup, absolutely despises Protoss players and the entirety of the Protoss race. Very vocal about the balance of TVP. Well, funnily enough, by far his worst matchup is actually TVT. Like rating-wise, it's like 250 below the other 2 matchup, and his best being TVZ. So I checked some of his latest TVZs, and actually all of them were against Solar. I think they played like 3 best of 5 series, or 2 best of 5s, and 1 best of 7 in like the last 2.5 weeks. And I think he won 2 of them, lost 1 of them, but it's very difficult to judge too much based on that, because I think Reynor and Solar play so extremely different in this matchup. And of course, both of them are fantastic players, but the slightly different playstyle might make it difficult. We see the Reaper dive in here on Pillars of Gold. He's going deep Lambo. He doesn't really care about the creep, and he's just hunting for drones.
yeah, that's obviously because there is a ramp, so you can't really deny the creep to him. Anyways, he goes against a good player, so he didn't even try to go for the Zerglings. He tried to get away there with killing a drone, but even just forcing a Spore Cancel is already nice in the early game. Obviously, both players opening very standard. Dream going for a 3cc. I actually looked at a lot of the games that Dream played recently against Zerg, and most of them were obviously against Solar. He likes to play Banshee. He played Banshee almost every single game, very often even from 2 base, and the only 3cc opener that I saw him play was also with Banshee. So he's definitely someone that likes to go Banshee with a bunch of Hellions, and then likes to go into bio tank, not necessarily bio mine straight away, but then for these tank timings.
Yeah.
And so Solar obviously, not Solar, Reynor obviously knows it as well. Oh, he almost caught the Reaper there. That was pretty close.
That was really close. Good reaction time there from Dream, who was opening up with a triple CC, and everything kind of indicates that Banshee that you were talking about just now. We see Reynor sending in his Overlord at around 335. Marine is in position. Is Reynor going to be able to scout this?
Yeah, 1 Marine alone is not enough to kill the Overlord before it's going to see the CC at the very, very least. And he probably should also get far enough to see that there is a Banshee in production, in fact. So, yeah, Reynor knows exactly what he's up against, but does sacrifice 1 Overlord against a 3cc opener, so it's not like that's amazing or anything either, but I'm pretty sure he knew what to expect.
Does seem to be the case, as these Hellions and these Reapers are just poking forward. Ooh, nice little snipe there on the tumor. Did end up losing the Reaper for that, so perhaps not completely worth it. Always really nice to tank the initial Queen shots with that Reaper, because it's the only unit that can kind of regain life by itself of this little squad. Right now, every single time a Queen will hit, it will hit a unit that won't be able to get that health back. So actually a little bit painful, and might force Dream to be a little bit more careful with his Hellion movement. His 3rd is already landing. 440 is the time in game, and we see he went up to 6 cars and will be going into 3 wrecks from here. Once again, Reynor gets a double confirmation. Yes, it indeed is a Banshee, and that Banshee stays at home. Reynor, by the way, taking the forward 3rd base rather than the line one. This isn't always the case. Is there a what's the logic behind this? You want to start working on the rocks earlier, get the creep out to the left side?
Yeah, exactly. It's mostly about having an easier time against the tank pushes towards the fourth, and since we know that Dream rather always pretty much goes for this tank push, like not always with the first 2 medevacs, but at least once 1-1 is done. Having more creep towards the left side is really important because let's say the third base would be the fourth. If you can show the pillar next to the fourth base, where it is the third base that he took now. Yeah, so where he's taking the fourth base right now, usually it's very hard to get creep there. And then the tanks can, even to the left of that, the tanks can be positioned, left bottom. Yeah, exactly here. So you can put your tanks there. And it can be a pain to deal with for Zoic. But since he took this base, it's a little bit easier to spread the creep. It's a little bit harder to defend early aggression. But other than that, it sets you up nicer into a 4-base position. And you can already see how ready he is for the Banshee. Good double spore position in the main base. Already a spore as well to defend his 4th base, which is not that easy usually against the Banshee. So also with an overseer ready, so he decided to go into a lair to counter that, and then we should start Baneling Speed very soon, double Evo Chamber, and I'm expecting a Ling Bane pure play into delayed Hydra then with Infestation Pit here.
Yeah, seems to be the unit composition of choice, right? Eventually going into those lurkers, and once he hits those lurkers, his late game there is absolutely fantastic. On this map, another thing to note, by the way, is that I believe when he played against Innovation, it was, who just kind of started or was it TY, who started just dropping into the main base like a madman. So another reason why perhaps that fast forward on that left side, so you can kind of stop the abuse of the drop into the main base, which can be kind of tough to deal with. As a Zerg player, rocks get taken down well before the push arrives. And honestly, Reynor's early game looked really clean here. His creep spread is phenomenal all the way towards the right side. His 5th base is going to be difficult to cancel as well. Man, this middle stroke of creep is actually insane. This is so far out. That's like 6-7 tumors deep.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's ready for this. He knows that he can get away with making 80 drones. I have checked out Dream's recent history, and he always moves out with the first 2 medevacs without the tanks. And then delayed, he takes everything. The Hellions, the tanks with 1-1 and combat shields. That's when he tries to hit with 4 medevacs. And he did that pretty much every single game. So there's definitely a trend that you can see with Dream's play. And there's obviously 2 things that you can do against it. In general, just not going Muda against it makes it a lot easier to defend. And then you can go for massive counterattacks because Dream usually moves out with most of his army, which we see right now, around the 740 mark. So, and the second thing you can do, since he's skipping any of the tech units, you can go for as many Lings, Banes as possible, and then just try to go for a surround.
Yeah, and if you're a Dream here, aren't you going to be a little bit discouraged seeing the amount of creep out on the map already? Big Ling run by now. Reynor needs to be careful as there is a wall on that right side. These Lings can't escape. Will be able to clear the command center, gets 8 workers and then a cancel on the command center, but loses a lot of Lings for it as well. So not the most cost efficient trade there, I would say, especially because Dream already had a little bit of overburgers. I guess the biggest thing there is the cancel on the fort, but I don't really mind that for Dream actually.
Yeah, that was a kill actually, not a cancel. So
excuse me.
If that was not a kill, then yes, I would be with you. Since it was a kill, I think it ended up being okay. But he definitely overcommitted there. Dream always with a very, very early depot wall at his 3rd base. And now again, he's trying to go for the counterattack. Dream left the perfect amount of units at home. Honestly, if this was a bigger run by, it would be definitely harder to hold it. But perfectly for the amount that Reynor tried to counterattack with. And now, obviously, Dream is attacking later than he wants to, but he still has a very, very powerful army here.
Yeah, a bunch of Hellbats are in there, pure Ling Bane. And there is a crap ton of Banelings here, Lambo. And of course, Reynor still has the ability to take that Ling run by back home. And the reinforcements for Dream are still basically standing at his own natural or at his 3rd. We see another run by being set up, but this might as well be used as a flank later on if he doesn't believe he can do damage. But Reynor sees this army, he's like, no, I actually believe I can do damage. And I think he might be right there. Banelings moving into the mineral line. Good SCV splits coming out of Dream. Holy crap. Dream is completely on point today. What felt like a very bad situation. He kind of managed to salvage it. The middle fight, though, however, Dream not quite as ready for that as Reynor blasting with Ling, Bane, and Queen and completely cleans up this push.
Yeah, this is looking really, really solid for Reynor. Reynor kept forcing stims in the main army, and he even picked off a tank before the fight really started, and he kept going forward with the Banelings, tanked a lot of the shots with the Queens, and that's just how easy it is, and this is mostly preparation because he knows he doesn't even need a Hydra then against this, because Dream always makes at least 4 tanks from the factory. There is no Widow Mines, there is no drilling claws early on, where you need to deal with constant Widow Mine drops, Widow Mine aggression, split armies. No, Dream likes to go for the straight up push. And if you know that as a Zerg, you see how late his Hydra then is. That's the right decision, because he doesn't spend any extra money into an early Lurker then. He doesn't need the early Hydra upgrades, and most importantly, he doesn't need the extra Geyser. So he just has way more Ling Bane than all the Koreans that I watched the replays of Dream of have.
Yeah, that's a very good point you're raising there. Not investing in those Widow Mines makes it very easy for Reynor to stick with that Baneling composition, as mines tend to trade very, very well and effective against that. Alright, a little bit of a... This creep is crazy.
I can't believe there's a creep. There's a creep to at his fourth base.
Yeah.
And that's not even where Reynor started expanding. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's actually insane. This is so rare to see in a high-level game. You know, this sometimes happens in my games when I play Terran and I don't move on the map for the first 35 minutes. But like these are some of the best players in the world. The fact that he, I mean, how many tumors does this guy have? He's freaking 50 creep tumors on the map. He still has queens dedicated purely to spreading creep. As Reynor is, he's almost denying the fourth base with creep. Like, I don't know. This is really something else. We have a big Baneling squad on the far left here. He's 29 Banelings in total. I think majority are going to be on the left side. There's 5 on the right. I think Reynor should be aware right now that the base is being taken on the right. Correct?
Yes, for sure. He knows that there is no base here yet, and usually a turn that is just 3 base all-inning wouldn't put a sensor tower there. Also, he knew he cancelled the CC building there twice, right? So you knew Dream wanted to expand there. It's very likely that he's aware of that. But Reynor, the moment he cleared it up, he went up to 100 drones, and now he has this lurker, his lurkers. He also has his Vipers, which is very important against a tank-based army, and it's looking really, really good for him. Dream is forced to turtle. If he moves on creep against what Reynor has, Reynor can A-move and then Dream-X pretty much.
Yeah, you say if he moves on creep. The problem for Dream is the moment he leaves his third base, he's on creep already. He's scanning outside of his own rocks right now and taking out 6 tumors. Like,
literally the tank defending his third base shoots creep tumors.
This is really something else. His left side is lacking a little bit. The far left, but yeah, it's going to be so difficult for Dream to ever get there without just straight up dying to any counterattack. That I don't think that's going to play a massive role in this game, at least not right now. We have a lurker drop on the way. Literally every single upgrade right now is being gotten here, is being built here for Reynor. As Dream, he's in heavy turtle mode. He realizes there's no way he's ever moving on the map this game. He's gonna try to play from a 5-base setup.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the best thing he can do to survive. The problem is, the moment he takes a 5th, he's gonna have to split his army a little bit more than he already does. And Reynor is going into his double Nidus setup, which he really likes in the late game. So as long as Reynor tries to trade semi-effectively, Dream is just gonna die. So Dream needs to somehow take super efficient fights, and even if there's just no fights at all, it should be decent for Reynor. Now the lurkers don't have the burrow speed yet, so this lurker board very slowly, and the other one dies as well. But Reynor pushes at the same time. As this is also not the most effective trade, but every trade right now is a good one for Reynor pretty much, as long as he kills anything from Dream. If you look at the bank and the workers that are mining, it's it's a difference between night and day between those two.
Reynor actually doubling the mineral income, which is impressive usually against the Terran, because Terrans with their big mulage usually are capable of mining a lot of minerals, even on lower worker counts. Reynor is on 12 gas, while Dream is just right now landing his 5th base at the 14-minute mark. We have an Overseer flying into the main base. It does get spotted by Dream. Double Nidus goes up in the main, but tanks and marines should be able to take care of that. And they will be, but this does force a part of the army of Dream to always kind of be around that main base area. So there is Overseers around, he can easily fly an Overseer at any point. And don't forget how quickly those Niduses allow Reynor to kind of rotate around the map and attack him anywhere, basically. Anything is fair game at this point. The next roll, the 3rd, the main, the 4th, the 5th, he can be anywhere. And here we go, puts 2 Niduses in random locations, attacks straight into this 4th base, and the 4th base just goes down, Lambo. This base had no chance of surviving. Like, what are you supposed to do against this if you're Dream in this situation?
Preferably he needs bio as well. He just needs to split his army perfectly at this point. Like, this requires absolute perfect play. And even if he plays perfect, because he's so far behind, I'm not sure he can ever punish Reynor from taking the 2 bases on his side of the map. So I think what he's doing is pretty much the best he can, just third lap with a lot of buildings. But if Reynor finds you out of position, and you might wonder, how can this be out of position? You had a planetary there and 4 tanks, but against Blinding Clouds and Massling Bane, that is not the most effective. You still need a bunch of Marines there, which he had entirely out of position. So again, a decent trade for Reynor. And if we're looking at resources lost, I keep saying it's a decent trade for him, but that's just considering the situation. Like, Dream is doing a nice job of always costing Reynor a lot of units every time Reynor engages into this. But again, there's no Marines here, which means the Lynx and the Banes don't die quickly. Also well microed Bane Lynx, by the way.
Yeah, the split by Reynor there was beautiful. Such subtle micro that is easy to go unnoticed, but it really helps against these big tank splash damages. It feels like Dream is playing a game of whack-a-mole while being shot at with a sniper rifle. Like, it feels almost impossible for him to make the correct play. That early game of Reynor was so clean. His creep threat, I know we've been focusing on a lot, but holy freaking crap. Did he just Banelings pop out of that Nidus?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of show this creep threat one more time. Like, just freaking look at this minimap, guys. This is not normal. This is not how a game of ZVT is supposed to look like. This is it's absolutely insane. And yeah, Reynor is in good shape. You said that it felt like Reynor has been in one of the best shapes he's been in a long time. And seeing this first game, I know it's just one game, and I know it's only one matchup against one opponent, but he is looking sharp, Lambo.
Yeah, absolutely. He does engage again with a massive Blinding Cloud, and the Banelings actually take out the planetary on the way to the unit. So once again, the Banelings kind of working there. Obviously, every single trade of this is favorable for Reynor just because of the amount of money that he's mining. I wish Reynor would also start taking the geysers in the top left and saturate these spaces. Maybe even taking drones from your main and natural would be good. He is sending some drones there now.
Yeah.
So he's doing exactly what I said. But if he just keeps going at the exposed bases and trades the way he's been doing it so far, Dream is going to run out of money very, very soon.
Yeah. The reason why Lambo's mentioning sending drones and taking those extractors there is because these bases in theory belong to Dream. So if Dream magically manages to stay alive, he might be able to get those left side bases. But if Reynor starts mining them now, he will be up so much in resources that even though he's trading not very cost efficiently, because that's the one thing that Dream is doing, Reynor will just have so much money that it doesn't even matter, even in split map scenarios. But it seems so unlikely that this will be going into that split map scenario as Dream is struggling to get above 150 supply, and Reynor is currently maxed with 7k in the bank. So this is, yeah, Dream needs to go back up to 4 bases, and even there I don't think he's particularly safe.
Yeah, exactly. Just to your point, if Reynor mines out just one base from Dream that he doesn't get later on, that's 1500 minerals, and that's 5k gas. So that's 20k resources, which Reynor has that Dream hasn't. So if you look at the resources lost right now, Reynor has traded 10k less. But a single base, if the map is completely mined out, already allows you to trade so much worse than your opponent, which means having mined 2 bases of your opponent, like mathematically alone, means that as long as you don't trade like an absolute potato, you should be winning the game.
Yeah, and you guys should know this is true because Lambo did attend university for more than 3 weeks, so I would definitely take his word for it. If I was the one saying it, I'm not so sure, but with Lambo in charge, I'm just trusting the number man over here, guys. As we have a bunch of Banelings rolling in. This time my man Dream was smart. He's like, I put a planet, I put an orbital there. At least I can lift it, and he preserves that one. Sadly, the planetary that was building to the left of it is going to go down. 20 SCVs fall, 32 SCVs fall, 30. Oh my god. The numbers keep rising. Reynor's bank just grows during the fight while Dream supply plummets. I actually don't know. I don't know what to say. 116 creep tumors. This might have been one of the most dominant performances I've actually seen in this entire tournament in a game of ZVT. Like, from start to finish, this was complete domination. And Dream is not a walkover. He's not a pushover. Right now, he's one of the best TBZ players in Korea. Like,
yeah.
Holy crap.
And now even catches him unsiege. I mean, Dream knows he needs to attack, but I don't think he can. I mean, even if he wins this fight, even if he beats this army, there's 2 more waiting for him on Reynor's side of the map. This wasn't even Reynor's entire army. He didn't even fight the lurkers yet. He only has 2 ghosts remaining. Like, he basically has, what is his 13 Marines left in the main army, so yeah, he's trying to stem forward, but there's just no way.
This is a ridiculous game. Double Nidus on the what once used to be the fourth location, the location formerly known as the fourth, now just taken over by the Zerg player. Fungos coming in as well, Lurkers burrowing on the high ground, and at this point it feels like Reynor is just having fun. GG gets caught as Reynor absolutely blasts away Dream in that first game of the day. Holy freaking crap. If Reynor's ZVZ and ZVP is even just at 85 or 90% of what his ZVT is like, I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but we might, like, it's possible to have another 10-0. Like, holy cow, he's playing well today. Like, that was actually insane. Mechanically so clean, theoretically so beautiful, and he is so fast. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was crazy. I didn't name my stream Reynor 10-0 waiting room for no reason, because I honestly believe that he has a decent chance to do exactly the same thing that Dark achieved yesterday. And that is with a Trap in his group. I genuinely believe that Reynor is still the favorite to make it out, even though Trap is probably one of the tournament favorites for all of you. And yeah, I wasn't joking when I said that he's in a good in a good shape. I do honestly believe that. And yeah.
Now, let's calm down a little bit as well, of course. A lot of this is very good preparation, and often, if your early game is good, games can snowball. We could have also said, like, if Dream left the game after 12 minutes here, we would say, well, clean victory for Reynor. Now, because it felt like Dream was still alive, this is kind of the Terran syndrome, where Terrans can stay alive for very long because it can be difficult to engage into 3 or 4 base Terran positions, and thus Terrans stay in way longer than they should, wasting collective time of the world, really. So it was enjoyable. So time you enjoy wasting, Lambo, generally isn't wasted. So maybe he was doing us a favor. But but after that, you can still see things that are just very clean. The unit control. You mentioned the little baning split, which was great. Now let's talk about my man Dream here. He just got blasted off the face of the earth in the first game. What do you do?
The thing for Dream is, I think this is not the most important series, and I also don't think he should have practiced the most for Zerg, and that's probably the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have any, or he only had DRG as a potential opponent in his open bracket match, but he didn't end up playing him. And he also only has a single Zerg in this group, whereas he still has to play Hero Marine and then 3 other Protoss players. So I wouldn't be too worried even if he loses this overall. Maybe he can try to mix it up with his tank timings, even though he did that literally every game I've analyzed from him. So I would be surprised if he completely mixes it up. But yeah, that tank timing did not go his way for sure. So maybe doing something less committed with more units at home could be an option. And then he can try to go into the later stages of the game a little bit more evenly. But yeah, I like what you said. It's not sometimes the way or just the result that matters. It's, I think, the way the games look when I talk about who is a favorite for me. And for example, Dark looked amazing yesterday, but he didn't look unbeatable, right? He looked like he was gonna lose to Special in both games, and he did some all-ins against Cyril. And even though his result was super impressive, I'm not like, okay, Dark is for sure gonna win this tournament, right? Neither am I gonna say that after one game of Reynor, obviously, but yeah. I think it's always good to know how the game looks rather than just looking at the result itself.
Yeah, even though, to be fair, no matter how the games look, I'm gonna be real here and say that if someone would tell me you're gonna win with crappy cannon rushes every single game, but you go 10-0 in Katowice, I think I take the deal, Lambo.
Oh no, for sure, he's one of the favorites now to win the tournament. I'm just saying that.
No, of course, yeah. There's a difference between different results. You can get first in the group even with the same score, but it can look more dominating or more lucky in a certain way. But yeah, I think that's kind of inherent in the style of Dark almost, though, where he every game he plays, he isn't really looking for a dominating macro victory, right? Like he is just he's crazy. Like he just does things. He does them really fast. And he just is always testing his opponent. Hey, are you ready for this? Are you ready for that? And if at one moment the answer is no, bam, Dark has the map. And game number 2, here we go. And he did it very, very quick yesterday. He had like the series against Special that we casted yesterday. That was rough, Like that was
like I analyzed some other series from him yesterday that we didn't get to cast, and he fell behind pretty much every single TVZ he played. So if he actually fixes his early game, like if he has an early game that Reynor just had, he would also look fucking insane because his mid game, he basically outplayed his opponents from behind every single game. So also his micro against Sarah looked fantastic, even on ping. That was very impressive. So
Yeah,
definitely a lot of things that Dark did yesterday were insane as well.
Yeah, Dark's control in general is always it's very memorable. It's good to watch. It makes me happy to see. But yeah, we're for anyone wondering why are we still talking and why aren't we watching these two StarCraft 2 worlds play a game of StarCraft, is because Reynor had a little bit of issues with his hotkeys. Sometimes carrying over from Europe to NA, something kind of messes up there and you need to repaste them into the correct folder.
They have tournament accounts, so they need to redo them entirely.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, in that case, well, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, if you didn't completely prepare properly there, or if something goes wrong, like something tends to go wrong. I'm not quite sure why, but if you sometimes if you log into a different server, it just messes up. So it is fixed now, and we will be heading into game number 2 here. As in the top left, the man who needs to change up something if he wants to win. Playing for team G. It's going to be Dream, and changing it up. He does Lambo, as we have the first SAV moving over to the base of the guy on the right.
Of the guy on the right, indeed, the Italian Zerg player playing for Team Clash is Reynor.
Nice. All right. Now, Reynor's not much of a drone scouter, is he?
Well, he was actually the initial Zerg that kept drone scouting every single game, but Terrence kind of stopped proxy rexing, and I actually told everyone that I thought this was a tournament where they start proxy rexing again because it's kind of out of fashion now. Now Dream actually is going for a 3-rex that is very far away, which even if he doesn't scout it, if he has the right reaction, he can defend it, but you kind of need to guess now if it's a 2-rex or a 3-rex in case he doesn't see it, and I really don't think his Overlord is going to go that far to the right.
Yeah, that seems very, very unlikely. Yeah, we of course, it's interesting that you mentioned it because we saw in the TY versus Solar series that TY opened up with 2-rex twice in a row. And now we see Dream opening up with a 3-rex here. Now, what is the difference between the 2-rex and 3-rex in the response for the Zerg and in the follow-up of the Terran player? Obviously for Terran, it's a little bit less good economically because you have another SCV on the map, but what else changes?
The main thing that changes for Zerg is that you kind of want a Spinecrawler or a Roachborn as a response. And he actually gets to scout all 3 barracks. That's huge. That's huge that the Overlord went there. Now, preferably, you would want to have this scouted before you even take the gas. But now what you can do is you can either still try to defend it with drones, just a drone pull, trying to delay the bunker, then getting a spine, and then engaging with drones plus Zerglings. Or you can theoretically sack your natural and go 2-gas Roach. Both are options that will give you a lead if executed properly, and he's going for the Roach response.
Okay. Roach response, it is as his gas already finished up, and I love this move here by Dream. Dream sees, hey wait, there's no drones coming down, I get to do this for free, and just pops into the main base, sees that a lot of gas is being mined. He didn't actually see the Roach Warren though, but he should be aware of what's happening, right?
Reynor is actually not going 2-gas, which I'm a little bit surprised by, and he's making a spine, so he's really respecting this. I don't think it's necessary. I believe one thing that you can do with this Roach response is keep the Zerglings, or start Zerglings at the natural, because you usually don't want to use the larva anyways for Roaches, and then cancel them if the Marines don't go up into your main base. But if the Marines don't go up into your main base, you don't need the spine in general, so he's playing it extremely safe compared to the way you usually deal with this. But Dream is also super committing, even though he knows that this is a Roach response, which is a little bit surprising.
Yeah, there's another bunker there far in the back, afraid of... I'm not sure what he's exactly afraid of. I guess that first one is going to die against either a Spine or a Queen, right, that bunker. So he just wants to have a backup bunker over there. What's he doing in the back of this? Double gas is being taken relatively late. I guess that could have been a little bit earlier. Oh, I love this tiny move here with those Marines trying to snipe that Overlord. It's not straight up going to supply block Reynor, but he will immediately need to build another Overlord. And now he actually is kind of supply block, which is annoying because ideally he'd probably want to build a couple more units out of the larva that he currently has.
Yeah, I don't think this is the perfect response for Reynor. Oh my god, he's using a Ravager almost. I don't think this is the perfect response by Reynor. I think perfect would have been to not make a spine and go double gas. That can sometimes feel very scary if the Marines just go up the ramp and die for it, but then very often you're actually going to end up holding the natural, so it's a very risky move for Terran to do as well. So now, the problem with going through Rex against Roach Ravager is that your factory is super late compared to 2 Rex, which means that you're also going to have to you're also going to have to play very defensive and probably just defend your main base. And also bunker up, because the Cyclone is usually not out by the time that the Zerg player counterattacks. Which means that even though you lose your natural very often against this as a Zerg player, you're still not in a terrible... Oh my god, he lost the Ravager.
Lost the Ravager. Was that bunker salvage? I don't think so, right?
I don't believe so, but the Ravager is a little bit of a bigger deal here. That was not necessary, and he even had a transfuse, so...
Where does the Spinecrawler go? Is it rolled up inside? Dude, it has a massive neck.
Excuse me. Alright.
I was just looking at it. That thing reached halfway across my screen. It has to be rolled up inside, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. The physics of the Spinecrawler fascinated me for the past 25 seconds as I found different angles to zoom in on it. As you were just rattling on about bunkers and follow-up responses. Honestly, I haven't heard too much, but I'm sure the audience enjoyed it as well. Or maybe some of the guys were just like me. All the Protoss players that were watching were thinking the same thing at the same time. They're like, man, that neck is long. Where does it go, man? So all the Zerg players wrote everything down in their little notebook. They know all the ins and outs of the 3 racks now. We see a 3rd CC coming down there as well as a tank. So Dream perhaps respecting a potential roach attack, or do you have to build that tank? Is this necessary?
Yeah. You're gonna have to make that tank.
Okay.
Because you can't have a Banshee out in time. So if you ever wanna expand or do anything really, you do need that tank to be safe, or a Cyclone. You can do either or. Now Reynor just droned up. He didn't go across the map, and you also need an Overlord for high ground vision, which he lost, I think, on the other side. So I think he's playing this game from a little bit behind. So maybe this will give us an even better idea. Like if he wins this one from the position that he's in right now, which isn't too terrible, don't get me wrong, but it's much different than in the last game already.
Yeah, I look at the supply here, Lambo. It says 65 against 48. What does the supply mean in this case? Like, what are we looking at to understand? Ooh, is this mech? No. I just saw I saw 4 gases and I forgot that he built 3 racks. I'm sorry. Okay, one more time. I'm gonna ask the same question and we pretend the last 10 seconds didn't happen, okay?
all right. Yeah, there is 2 barracks on a reactor and 1 on the attack lab, which usually indicates bio. Welcome to StarCraft, Kevin. And and yeah, the reason why he was a little bit behind is because he mined less comparatively to what the Terran is mining, if you compare it to normal standard games.
Okay.
So he overtook him in the worker count a little bit later than usual, but at the same time also the eBays are very late for a Dream, so it's not the worst, honestly. I'm not even sure anymore if he's behind. It's sometimes very, very hard to tell, very hard to judge these situations.
What are kind of the pain points here for the Zerg, where we could see if there is a small lead perhaps for the Terran, where would that kind of manifest in? Like where are we paying attention to? Like, oh, this is something that Dream can now leverage that in a normal game perhaps he couldn't. Is that the upcoming push with the 2 medevacs?
For example, there's a couple of things, like just looking at the worker counts, but these 2 medevacs arrive pretty much around the same time as if you would have went into a, let's say, 8 Italian 2 Banshee opener, right? And then usually they arrive when the 4th base is done. So in this scenario, there is no 4th base yet. However, on the other hand, Dream already had these Marines, and that's why this is possible, but his extra add-ons, his extra production is way later than in usual games, which... Let's just say a normal timing to add barracks 4 and 5 would be 6 minutes, which now is 1 minute and 50 bit delayed. So even though his first 2 medevacs are not delayed, other things are delayed, and then it's pretty much just game knowledge of knowing how a game is supposed to look compared to how it's looking right now.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Now we have a roach response here coming out of Reynor. Is that because he believes he's behind? Ooh, he might just drop on top of this now. Will that be viable? Gets 1 Ravager at least. Gets the 2nd rail. Files do kind of semi-connect there. Not the cleanest hits, but do get a Marine. I think this was an okay trade here for Dream, no? Or you disagree?
Yeah, it was okay. The thing is, if you lose these medevacs, it becomes, or the Marines inside the medevacs, it becomes a lot easier to split your army. And you can see Reynor immediately starting extra drones as well. So even though the direct fight is obviously, the trade is obviously worth it, because a Ravager costs 200 resources. So theoretically, you can lose 4 Marines and have a good trade. There's obviously something else about it as well. But Reynor, since he's playing Roach Ravager, he needs to remake the Ravagers as well. So it's overall nice for him. I wonder what Reynor exactly is going to play. Is he going to play similar to the way Dark played? Because the reason he's going Roach is because he already had a Roach one. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason. And Dark made it work and look very, very strong yesterday. And I don't think Reynor practiced the style at all. So he's gonna be on a little bit of new grounds, maybe inspired by what he saw yesterday. But no, he's going into a baiting nest, which is much more standard, and into a hive. So this will probably go into either ultras or lurkers.
Okay, and then you initially use the Ravagers to kind of deal with tanks, or how does this style kind of pan out?
Well, I think he just made the amount of Roach Ravager because he was scared of a tank push, just to be safe. And then you just, from now on, I expect him fully to only make Zerglings. His Baiting Nest is very late, so he's gonna have Baiting speed around the time when 2-2 is gonna be done. But yeah, you just play Lingbane Ravager basically, which is gonna be very similar to Lingbane Hydra. Besides, nothing shoots in the air.
Dream actually sacrificing a bunch of Marines on that left side to get a cancel off, and then tries to get another cancel off. He just lost all of his Marines. The pressure that Dream is putting on is kind of weakening at this point. It feels like he's gearing up for a big push. Oh my god, he got hit there by Biles. That's rare.
This on west as well.
Sorry?
This on west as well, I was just gonna say. So
okay.
It's not like he has a massive ping disadvantage. Obviously, both players acting with ping. Without ping, he would have saved that medevac.
Yeah, 100%. Are we expecting a 2-2 push, or do we think he might move out once his planetary? I guess these things are gonna kind of coincide, right? Once the planetary is done at the fort, 2-2 will be around, and then we're expecting a push. We're going towards the right side, as the creep is a little bit more pronounced on the left side of the map, or what is the move here on that aura, generally speaking?
Generally, you just attack the 5th base. Now, Reynor is taking both at the same time. So you, as you said, you do react to wherever there is less creep. But both bases have creep at the same height as the hatchery and not ahead of it. So I think both are fine. But considering he doesn't know about the hatchery on the right, I would expect him to go to the left, unless he just wants to try and attack the 4th base, which is what it looks like he's doing. Yeah,
because there's so little creep there, I naturally kind of pivoted to that. Now, as I say that, I think he found a little bit of a Ling run by, and he kind of wants to do the move here where he pushes out, or at least pretend to push out in that direction, where the run by is coming from, to kind of clear that path. He's loading up one drop. Sensor Tower should give him some safety, as Reynor's really splitting in a fun way, you know, just having 2 counter attacks ready, and wherever Dream's army isn't, Reynor is most likely going to go in.
Yeah, this is very, very strong, especially against tanks, because you can see Dream is a little bit worried even about the surround, so he keeps having to siege tanks. And when both players are maxed, that's usually better for the Zerg, because the bank is easier to spend for Zerg. So if there's a big tank push especially, you can go for a trade and then remax, and usually you can catch the tank army in the middle of the map. So as a turn, you kind of want to move out at like 160, 170 supply latest, which is not the case now for Dream.
Yeah. He's already completely maxed. He takes out the rocks, kind of opening up an opportunity here for a flank. Why did he do that?
I think just to have an easier way of pushing forward, to be honest. I still don't think he knows about the... Okay, now he knows about the base in the top right.
Okay. Alright. There's a couple of Marauders being added in this army. 20 Marauders actually already in this army. Holy crap.
Insanely Marauder heavy.
Yeah.
I think if there's actually a Ling Bane heavy army with some Blinding Clouds, it should trade insanely efficient against this, but Reynor is not that Ling Bane heavy yet himself, so...
Why is that the case? I would think that Marines with tanks would be fine against, or it would be worse against it, because Marauders tank so much.
That's because Marauders don't deal as well with Zerglings as Marines do. They just have a much lower DPS.
Ooh, big mistake there out of Reynor. Maybe not. Gets one tank, loses... I think 1.5 or 2.5 Ravager. Didn't quite count properly there. A couple of Roaches get shot down as well, and I think this far right base is going to go down. The creep is disappearing. Dream is looking kind of strong in this game, honestly. There is 2 Vipers and Ultras are on the way out. Is Ultras, like, how great are Ultras going to be moving into 26 Marauders?
I think they're the natural transition, and they work decently with this army together, but obviously the Marauders are very, very strong against them, so... they still will do decently as long as he has enough Ling Bane in front of them, so the Marauders need to at least focus fire, which isn't perfect, because then the Ling Bane will also survive a little bit longer.
Oh, here come the Queens moving in, trying to tank a little bit, and this will be the start of this fight. Ultras coming in, Banelings trying to connect with Marines and Marauders. Good Blinding Clouds catching 4 of these tanks, and an absolutely devastating fight here for Dream as Reynor cleans it up. There's still 1 Queen alive, so I bet we're going to be seeing a couple of these tumors being added once all of this gets completely pushed back. This was the type of fight that Reynor wanted and kind of needed as well, right?
Absolutely. And now we see the thing that I talked about earlier, where the Zerg can instantly remax and then also chase back the Terran. And I think Dream should have just backed off immediately there, lost a couple more units than necessary. And there's another good thing that happened here. He lost all the Roach Ravager, which is kind of useless at this point. So you would rather have more Zerglings. So automatically, he managed to actually trade the units that he doesn't want anymore in an efficient manner, which is obviously fantastic. And there's just so little Marines here, so his army is really bad against Zerglings, as I said before.
One single Ravager heard everything you just said about his Roach brothers and wants to prove his worth right now, throws a bile down. I think he got at least a Marauder with that. There's right side base of Dream, which is the 5th force to lift over there. And Reynor is back. He's back in the saddle here as the creep spread on the left side while all of this was going on, pushing to astronomical to very big heights and astronomical heights. There we go. Sometimes these words, they just don't come out the way I want them, Lambo. But then you're there with your PhD in words and it all is good. The right side base is more of a bait than anything as Dream is moving forward. 17 Baelings are being morphed in and Reynor feels like moving in.
No, you saw that there was a big part of the army on the right, and he abducts a lot of units, but he barely has any units left over. So especially Ghost can deal with this very well. He should move back with the Vipers. I'm very afraid that... Okay, well, he abducts the last Ghost. So I thought there were more Ghosts behind this, since Dream has been producing them. And he even takes out the Planetary that was just there to protect the other Planetary.
That's the real play, my friend. Both Planetaries defending each other. The other guy saw his brother taken out as he was slightly out of range. Ultra does fall and the Terran gets his revenge. Now, trades actually have been pretty okay here for Reynor. I always feel like if the resources lost at 20k is still within like a 5k range, Zerg is going to be kind of happy. This is just Lynx, by the way, here attacking into this Marauder force and kind of to drive home your point. Sorry?
Yeah, exactly. I've been saying it the entire game long. Marauders are not that good. He didn't produce any Marines like the last 5 minutes. So I love what you said there, because this is not how resources loss is supposed to look if you go Ravager Ling Bane. It's just not. But the Ling Bane is trading fantastically.
Yeah. So we kind of want a more Marine mine heavy army in this case, right? This would work better, or maybe not even mines, but at least a couple extra Marines.
Yeah, exactly. Just you don't want more Marauders than Marines.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's very similar to what you also expect as a Protoss player, right? Against Zealot heavy armies. Works very similar. Where you don't want Marauder only, I assume, against
Yeah, not too much. Well, I would like that, but the Terrans don't. As we have once again Reynor collapsing on top of this army, Baelings pushing everything back. Now, more Marines are being added as Dream is realizing that these trades haven't been the best, but I think it might just be a bit too little, a bit too late, as this right side base for the bazillion time is being attacked by Ultras, Lynx and Banes. SCVs are falling and this Planetary can't lift as he burns to the ground. There's an orbital floating above the rich Vespine geyser, and the moment a Zerg is attacking a Terran and neither of us is screaming to go back, usually that means that the Zerg is in an okay position.
Yeah, absolutely. Dream even did a GG scan already to the left base to see if Reynor had it. Reynor did not have it yet. He's taking it now though, and Reynor has another base that's usually Dream, so the one at the middle right side base as well.
Oh, this one?
Yeah. So, I mean, Dream is in a horrible position. He's just running out of minerals again. He's on a very low SCV count, but even if he had the SCV still, they have nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad to see, but Reynor once again, solid creep spread, solid way to kind of get back after the start didn't go as hot. That early game reaction wasn't as great as it should have been. Now, this little army on the left side is very Marine heavy and has decent DPS. Sadly, that one Ultra is going to ruin the party that Dream had imagined in his head. A couple of uninvited guests there, as the big Space Scout does kind of ruin all of it. Liberators, mines a bit too far in the back to truly participate in this fight. Snipes going down. You mentioned this yesterday as well. Whenever you're attacking into Ghost, whenever you run away, you're always going to lose your most expensive units because they just get sniped. Which is once again was the case here. Now, I don't think it's going to matter too much as there's links in two different bases, and right at this moment Dream only has 4 bases, of which 3 of them are kind of mining, not even really mining. There's 3 patches in the natural. There's a little bit of a push here on the Rich Vespine Geyser base, which is going to get cleaned up a second time. And yeah, I mean, Reynor's just looking absolutely fantastic once again in this game. After a way rougher start than in that first game.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what Dream is doing. It's one of the comeback mechanics in StarCraft, where if you keep losing workers, you just never remake them, and then you try to just have a massive army that basically can beat the Zerg army over and over again. But the thing is, Reynor knows that, obviously, that is a possibility, and that's why you see him keep trading. And that's why it's not that bad even to attack off creep and take bad fights every now and again, as long as you keep Dream from maxing out. There shouldn't be a way for him back into this. Now he even advanced his army tech with some extra Corruptors, which he didn't have any anti-air besides the Vipers before, so he can now finally also take out these Liberators, and he's running in with Banelings alone, even though there's only Marauders and tanks. It doesn't matter at this point, as we see Dream supply dropping to 110, whereas Reynor still has around 7k resources in the bank, even though most of it is in gas. Even if you just use the minerals alone, it should be more than enough to close out this game.
I mean, what's on the map here for Dream is still an okay supply army, but this is not an army that can fight off 2 or 3 armies of Reynor, right? It's just not good enough. These mines get okay-ish connections, but also not it. 117 supply against 177. The only reason Reynor isn't max is because he didn't want to. Now he wants to max again. He had plenty of larva, plenty of money, as Dream's final medevacs are dying. And with those medevacs, so his hopes of winning this series, because I think Reynor's just going to 2-0 here on Death Aura.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way, as Dream is dropping below 60 supply. I like his fighting spirit. I wouldn't like it if it was a ladder game, but this is obviously the most important tournament of the year, and if you feel like you have a chance, you're obviously allowed to stay in.